Hello, in this video we're going to be talking about the cell cycle. Let's not waste any of your time. Let's get right to it. Now when we're talking cell cycle, one of the things that we're really going to emphasize is what's happening at each of the stages of the cell cycle. And each of those stages will have their own video, which we'll get into deeper depth, but we want to touch on those during this video. The main phases of the cell cycle. You got your interphase, which has a bunch of things going on that we'll see in this video and in the G1 video. But also when we look at the ninth video of this series, control factors, not only we're going to talk about what's going on at each of these stages, but the controls that are also happening, the checkpoints that are going on. But the idea of interphase, which is 90+% of the cell cycle, and in mitosis, if we're talking hours, say if it's a 10-hour process, probably 9 of the hours, 8 of the hours will be spent in interphase, and in a quick little jump through mitosis. But during interphase, we're talking about the cell growing, the cell duplicating, getting all the necessary equipment and materials that are needed to go through cell division. And then during mitosis, mitotic phase, those chromosomes begin to move around and get to their spots in the middle, and then get dragged to the ends after they're being separated, and then eventually the cell becomes two daughter cells. All right, as we mentioned, two phases, interphase, and then the mitosis, cytokinesis phase. But during mitosis, hey, the cell is just doing what it does. That phrase, cell as being a cell, it's just doing what it does as far as processes and development and homeostasis, whatever is going on. During interphase, the cell nucleus is still visible, hasn't broken down yet. Metabolic function, DNA replication, all occur before that mitosis process starts. And then once we get into mitosis, now we're talking the nucleus disappears, gone, and we walk through the process of cell division. And we mentioned that each of these stages, steps, so interphase will have a video, and in G1 will have one, G2 will have one, and of course mitosis will have its own as well. So when we're looking at this diagram here beside me, this is the general things that happen during those stages, the events that happen. So when we're talking G1, okay, as you can see there, it's the longest one. But what we're doing is we're just growing the cell. The cell is just developing and just maintaining, making sure everything is going properly. And then when we get to the S stage, S for synthesis, in other words, making, that's where the DNA gets replicated. And then we get to G2, where we're focused on getting the organelles duplicated, getting everything that we need so the cell can enter mitosis, which you see it has 5 phases, with the purpose of getting those chromosomes in the right spots so the cell can divide in a good normal sense. And of course, cytokinesis is the idea of producing two new cells. lost my place here. So I'm on 4. Sorry about that little I lost my transition pathway there. All right, so when we're talking cell cycle, we mentioned 2 phases, but then the 3 steps, or it would be the interphase, in which one of the events would be the duplication, replication of the DNA, mitosis, the copying the chromosomes being moved to their spots along the metaphase plate, and then to the poles in anaphase, and of course cytokinesis, proper dividing into 2 daughter cells. And then, of course, interphase itself has 3 phases. So you've got the cell cycle with the 3 phases. You've got interphase with 3 phases. Got mitosis with the 5 phases. So a lot of numbers to keep track of. So it'll just take you some work to get all the steps. But if you listed them out, ignoring the 2 umbrella terms, so you're going to have G1, S, G2, prophase, prometaphase, metaphase, anaphase, teleophase, and then cytokinesis, kind of in that order. But we mentioned that in G1, the cell's going to grow. We're getting its organelles duplicated. S phase, DNA gets replicated. And then, of course, G2, I shouldn't say of course, then during G2, just the cell makes sure everything's going well. We've got everything we need for proper cell division. And of course, most of the cell cycles I mentioned, 90% plus, is spent in interphase. Well, that's our video over the general information for the cell cycle. When we come back next time, we're going to be looking at interphase. So we'll see you then.